Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the FordTechMakuloco channel. Real quick, I want to give you a weekend update video here, and then we'll hopefully get back to more serious repair videos starting on Monday. So let's go ahead and get to it. There's a lot to talk about. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is a quick shop update. I know you guys are focused on this Escape right here with the doors ripped off, but let's talk about a few shop updates that we're going through right now. So I finally had the electricians come back in here and put some more lighting in. So initially I had to put some high bay lighting in up here, 23,000 lumens a piece, nice fans, all that stuff, and it worked out great. Very bright in here, you can get your work done. The problem was, once a car went up on a lift here, it was blocking some of that lighting. So it was shadowing this whole wall here. So it's hard to work in the wheel wells without extra lights over there just to see what you're doing. It's like a dungeon over there on this side of the wall here. So I finally had them put in some side bay lighting over here. These LEDs right here. And they're on a separate switch so I can turn them on only when needed. And it works out great. They're lined up with the wheel wells on the vehicle. And then even when the vehicle's lifted, there's a lot of light coming in underneath so you can see when you're working underneath the vehicle. So if you guys are building a shop or you're thinking about lighting options for your shop, don't forget side bay lighting. So if you guys watched the shop tour video, you notice everything's kind of flip-flopped around in here. So I've been gone for about 4 to 6 weeks on medical leave after a surgery, recuperating, stuff like that. And it was time to clean the shop, deep clean it, and retool, okay? So we had a showroom clean in here, but after a week worth of work, it's a little trashed in here, but we did a lot of work this week, a lot. So with that coming back and retooling and reconfiguring, we had to figure how we're gonna place an additional lift over here. My son wants to come start working here full time, and we need his own lift over here. So we're trying to get the same exact bend pack lift like this right here at a slight angle like this, so you can come right in and out without hitting the wall here or the bench down there. So we're figuring all that stuff out. That's why there's all these markings in the ground where the other vehicles are gonna be at, the angle these ones are gonna be at, and the tire alignments and all that stuff. In doing so, I had to clear this wall out, so you'll see all the shop equipment got moved down. Okay, moved down, down, down. Works out quite well actually. And my custom Milwaukee toolbox has been moved down. Works out well for a little counter space here. Started cleaning all the stuff really well, stuff like that. But all the chemicals and parts got moved to this wall. They're about 2 feet deep, so it works out with all those pieces being over. So the shop scrubber's there and everything else. And the doors are closed. You're actually clear to line up right with that lift on there. There's no shelving in the way and driving onto the lift. So it works out. You know, we had everything all nice and perfect in here, went through everything. So that's that. And in doing so, of course, I had to give him his own box. So he grabbed my old Milwaukee box right there, and that'll work out perfect for him. These basic hand tools and all the rest of them in the rest of these boxes. Now I have like 5 Milwaukee boxes now. So what I did, since this one was the upgraded 22-inch deep Milwaukee box, 46 wide, I wanted to mirror that so it was symmetrical. So I grabbed another one, and I upgraded my primary box to the same one as this one. So it looks nice and symmetrical now. And it holds the doors nicely too. So yeah, that's gonna be great when we have everything all set up in here with the other lift. Even if he's not working here, I'll be able to put something on the lift there, let it dry or something like that, and then come over here to my main lift and get work done while we're waiting on parts, etc. So the other thing I did when we cleaned all this up, I mean, look underneath there, it's actually really clean underneath the benches and all that stuff. A lot of work, 3 years of dirt in here. What I did is I actually upgraded my clip speakers to 8-inch versions instead of the 6-inch versions, and these ones, they freaking rock. So you put on some nice hard rock music in here, it just cranks. And I grabbed my old sub from the house, so there's a sub in here too. So it's a lot of upgrades going on in the shop. But let's go ahead and talk about the Ford Escape you see right here. So this Escape, of course, came in for a heater core / evap core box, which is this little puppy right here. So because these vehicles are so new, this is a 15 Escape, Poor girl only has like over 30,000 miles in the vehicle, and she's sinking a ton of money into it. So this is the evap box. So inside here, the doors get stuck, and then they're basically, you get stuck on defrost or any other mode except panel, and you can't get your panel, your vents back. And it's the doors inside here binding, so of course the only fix is to replace it. Now, because the vehicle is so new, everything comes with it. Heater core, evap core, your sensors, your cam actuator, your actuators for the heater and blender, your resistor, your blower motor. You can see it all comes together like this. Recirc actuators, everything. It all comes out. So this thing's like $1,020 plus tax, then plus labor. So getting to the labor part of it, you can see this thing, it's a very unique design. All these new Ford vehicles like the Focus, the Fusion, and the Escape, like a European design, and it's just, their blower, their HVAC cases are a nightmare. Change that blower motor, actuators, anything. It's so cramped under there. It's an absolute nightmare. So you can imagine pulling the evap out of here and pulling the dash is going to be even worse. So it's so compact underneath there, the actual box wraps around right through here, the dash on there. So it wraps around it just to have enough room for all the components inside of there. So that's not bad. It's cost a lot, and it's labor intensive, but the problem is replacing it. Now, any of these newer Ford vehicles like the Escape you see here, 2013 and newer, 2013 and newer Ford Fusion, the new Ford Escapes, 2012 and newer, you need to rip the doors off just to pull the dash. Why? Well, in order to pull a dash, everything inside of here is pretty standard. Bolts here and an A-pillar, some center support bolts, maybe case bolts going through the wall, stuff like that. It's all pretty simple, okay? The problem is for crash protection, I imagine, they now have these long, like foot-long bolts, and they go right in here, okay? And they cross through the A-pillar here, where it's nice and beefy, and it goes through this tubular strong section, super strong section of the dash. And I think that's to prevent the dash from just caving in and crushing people's legs in accidents. It's a big problem with accidents that your legs get pinned in there. So in all these newer vehicles for crash protection ratings, maybe even offset ratings, they have these foot-long bolts that go through the A-pillar way into this tubular frame of the dash, that dash frame there. So in order to pull those out, so you can pull the dash out to get the dash and the heater core out, you must remove the doors, right? Because you can't pull the bolt out with the door in the way. So the first step for these things on these newer vehicles is just to pop the doors off. Now, luckily, these are pretty easy. So you can see these little bushings here. The door has a bushing that kind of drops into here. And then this lower one has a bushing for you to drop the door on, so you don't start hitting the paint and chewing it up on there. The only part that was bad about it was these connectors right here. These two connectors that go into there. They're stuffed in here so far. The instructions were not very clear on how to release them. It was a pain getting those up, but otherwise, yeah. So if you're expecting to do a heater core or anything like that in these newer vehicles, and you got to pull the dash out, be ready to pull the doors. So the doors are not so bad. They're not that heavy. It's not the end of the world. You just need to be, of course, careful with the paint on here. So, like I said, they just kind of set right in there. You can see it. And then there's the little 10 mil bolt, and that's it. But the connector on here is the part that was a pain. It looks like it should disconnect from the outside here and just disconnect with a hasp type connector on there, and this stays in. But in all reality, this whole thing pulls out with those connectors. In a tiny space you have here, then you disconnect them. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. You're definitely gonna need a helper to set these doors and pull them off on here. So I just want to give a little update on that. I'm sorry to not get a video of us pulling everything out and what's behind here, but it's all pretty basic except for the fact you got to pull the doors. It's pretty crazy, right? So yeah, I feel bad for this woman. She has about 30-some thousand miles on it. The doors are sticking, so it's stuck on defrost, and then they waited on that. So that's such an expensive repair. and then they come back and say there's no heat now. So I'm looking, the coolant was low, okay? Unusual, what's usual on these? You know, the water pump's to leak. So sure enough, this water pump was leaking all over the place. Belts are soaked, and he's a water pump too. So it adds a couple hundred more to the bill, the belts, the pump, and labor. So yeah, these escapes, I tell you guys, 13 and newer, just avoid them. Avoid them, avoid them, avoid them. They're great cars, but they're so hard to work on, and there's a lot of problems with them, especially 13s through 15s, maybe 16s. But that is about it. Just want to show you guys that. Eventually, we'll do another shop update tour once the new lift comes in and stuff like that, and you can see it's all reconfigured in here. But for right now, we're really coming along. It's very, very busy. I'm booked a month out on work right now. It's just absolutely nuts. And guess what? Most of that is timing jobs, one after another. Good money, but very hard on the body. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next time.